Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
The mid lane and pick up those ganks that he showed his power, and it'll be that matchup in the top against Koro that I think should be the featured matchup today.
Yeah, absolutely, but we are going to get straight into Champ Select here for our first game. Jana, the first ban there from Edward Gaming. Rek'Sai quickly following there for Snake.
Yep, two very strong champs. I think after that performance by Clear Love on Rek'Sai, you can't give him that champion just because what's usually a herbivore jungler, you're usually a low intense in terms of ganking jungler. He really pulled off kind of a fine balance between both ganking and farming and went beast mode on that Rek'Sai. So take it away, force him to go away from that comfort pick and try something different.
Yeah, respecting it to Crystal though. Tristana actually going to get a ban. Xerath banned out there as well. LeBlanc and Nada next to, and EDG instantly locking Azir for their mid laner.
And that's Azir locked in when Kassadin's available. And we saw the power of Kassadin last year. Kassadin Jarvan will be some massive power picks here. But I just want to come back to that Tristana ban. It might seem interesting because Tristana, she saw some nerfs, she's seen some popularity in the LPL, but not usually a first pick, first ban champion. But Crystal, basically when he picks up that champion, that signals that Snake are looking to go late, that Snake are looking to drag out that mid game, go late and have that massive Tristana gain the reset damage in team fights. That's been their identity. The one time they played a different AD carry, they played Sivir, and that was when they had the Irelia, and the Sivir Irelia mid game kind of ran over Gamti in that game. So a different flavor going to come through from Snakey, and I like the fact that EDG go for that very specific ban to kind of say, alright Snake, you play really well with Tristana on that late game style, but what else you got?
Yeah, and again, Snakey going to go with some strong picks. Jarvan there in the jungle for Beast, who's already played Jarvan very well. And Lissandra probably for Flandre in that top lane, which is a big champion for him. Sorry, also Morgana and Sivir going to get picked up here as well by EDG, who are picking very quickly, by the way.
And we might even see a sneaky Lissandra mid here. And the reason why I say that is a lot of gap close coming out from Lissandra. If they choose a strong, they've got a very strong ganking jungler in Jarvan, so those two can get on top of Azir quite easily with their long-range gap close and perhaps polish him off. So if they can really snowball on Pawn in the mid lane, that might be a win condition for Snake here.
Yeah, and Snake are going to do something very different to the Tristana comps. They have a Nami and now Draven as their bottom lane.
I mean, Draven's such an interesting one to watch. I mean, he does have that hyper carry potential if he gets ahead, and of course, with a snowball passive like he has, anything's with the adoration, anything is possible with Draven. That's not what I expected when they went from hyper carry. I thought, alright, maybe they'll go safe, or maybe they'll pull out the Vayne or something like that. But Draven, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, and we were sort of wondering what Snake were going to do when they don't have Tristana. We've seen this, but we've seen aggression. Draven very different, but look at EDG. You know, pick Nunu here and combo with Irelia, almost stealing Snake's strategy away from their first weekend.
And I can't describe how scary Koro here, who of course has stepped up so much this season, gone from maybe, you know, the third or fourth carry of EDG to very much their second or top carry, is going to be on Irelia, who has that natural CC reduction, Morgana having that black shield, potentially going to get help from Nunu as well, and of course the Sivir ultimate. It's going to be a turbo Irelia, and if Koro can get going in that top lane, could be massive. And look at this. It's going to be Flandre's Rumble.
Yeah, that's a great blocker pick as well of the Irelia. We've seen when Snake like to be a bit more aggressive and play more mid-game focused, they play Irelia. But we've got Rumble this time around, which is a very different champion. Flandre has played one Irelia game and now 4 Rumble games in a row.
And as I suspected, it is going to be that Lissandra mid, so expect a lot of focus on mid coming out of Beast here. There is a lot of kill potential onto that Azir, especially early, to the extent where we see a Summoner spell being hovered over here. I can only imagine it's going to be locked in, that we don't see very often competitive at all. The Cleanse looks to be picked up by Pawn in this mid lane.
Yeah, and Pawn has had a pretty fantastic showing so far. He's kind of playing more of a teamfight janitor role in a lot of situations. Played a great casting, which you already mentioned as well, and just really loves to get in there. Of course, Fizz, another champion he's known for, but not as aggressive as he was really in top form at Worlds, but just kind of playing with his teammates with depth, having big team fights like EDG used to, and then cleaning up a lot of these fights.
And it feels like we're starting to see these top teams start to get some established picks and sort of go in different directions. We saw the amount of priority that was put on Kassadin by OMG, either banned or first pick. Kassadin actually fell through the bans and picks here completely, which when we finally get that big EDG OMG matchup, something interesting to look back and think about.
Yeah, it seems like a champion that Flandre probably does play as well, that he could have maybe taken there. So interesting to see that he's going to go back to Rumble. I'm maybe a bit concerned about that matchup because Irelia does quite well when she gets going.
I mean, it's sort of matchup where Rumble theoretically could get ahead if you get snowballed on, but if everything's left to its own little top lane island, you do like Aurelia as we get into that matchup.
All right, we are going to quickly have a break, but we'll be back into this game very soon. All right, we are on to the Rift here for this first game between EDG and Snake. EDG over on the left-hand side, there'll be our blue team for game one, and Snake on the right, there'll be our red team. We're just going to watch them spread out now as well. And again, a battle of two teams that really have both looked excellent coming in, but this is the first true test for Snake, you have to feel.
Absolutely. They've shown great success in that mid-game team fight decision-making they made in Game 1 against Gamty. They looked very strong there. Then they took it late 3 games in a row and managed to take the victories there. So this is kind of Snake's defining game. This upstart team, 4-0, joint top of the league, taking on one of the established teams. I mean, EDG, you listen to analysts that understand the Chinese scene, either first or second is the expected place for this game. So this is the chance for Snake to show, hey, we're really here to compete for these top spots, or maybe they'll start to fall away as the LPL goes on.
Yeah, and for Snake, the team coming in here, a lot of experts said that, you know what, they're probably the last place team in terms of teams coming in here, but they've really been impressive so far. So we'll see what they bring out here against a very strong opposition. But other than that, just some pretty defensive posturing here by both sides. No one really getting too aggressive, just kind of fanning out, making sure all those entrances are covered.
We follow that Draven with the camera here. He's the big unknown in this matchup. We've seen Draven have a smattering of professional play. You know, Cop picked him up for a while. Different AD carries have experimented with him. He's not often seen in the Asian scene, and that's encompassing both Korea and China to a large extent because he doesn't have that escape, right? He has the ability to disengage with the stand aside, but he's basically an all-or-nothing AD carry, kind of like a Jinx, and you don't really see a lot of those in competitive play. So to see it here in the LPL, a region with so many strong AD carries, it's an interesting one. And look at this. Opting into a lane swap here is death, just because I can tell you that that is a terrible matchup for Siva.
Yeah, you just don't, you're a short-range carry. You don't really want to have to deal with that, as we are going to have EDG start off on the red buff here.
I mean, the massive problem is that you can't do anything against those Draven whirling axes. I mean, the spell shield doesn't really work for anything, and if it does, you're probably dead already.
Yeah, looks like Snake are going to start on their Gromp camp as well. So there'll be a bit advantage coming into what will be a 2v1 now, and Flunder is going to be in a bit of a pickle potentially, actually, in a 2v1 of his own.
And I guess I'm wondering what Clear Love will do here on this Nunu. It's a bit of a different flavor than we often see from him. He has pulled it out from time to time if we go really historical. I mean, he's a long-term player, is Clear Love here. I mean, it's really amusing to me that he picked Nunu into the same matchup that Beast showed so much proficiency in, this Nunu versus Jarvan matchup. And if he can have the same effect that Beast did in that first game against Gamty, where he ran the enemy jungle, where Jarvan had to really deal with a snowball or more whenever he tried to take a camp, it could be massively powerful.
Jeez, Pawn with a massive trade in the mid there as well. Baka already chugging some of those biscuits, trying to get his health back in. Early dominance asserted here by this Azir.
First, this matchup isn't going exactly as Baka expected. I mean, the issue here is that Baka has to get very close to the minion wave to get real pushing done. Of course, he needs to hit that first minion and have it line up for his Q, and every time he does that, Born's going to punish him.
Yep, as you can see down the bottom. One of the things that I actually sort of like about Snake is that we talk about Flunder being a big player. We've seen how well Beast has played, and sort of everyone's played very well together. But if we look at one play here, is Beast actually going to rotate down and maybe look for a dive or even just a push here? I like that Crystal seems to be the member that they build their team around.
Absolutely, and with this Draven pick, they're going for something really obscure here, but has a massive potential upside for them in this match. And I want to say that as you were speaking, I saw Beast coming down for the turret dive. So fortuitous he was that Mouse walked into the lane and showed just when he was, because 1 second later, the turret dive was coming in.
Yeah, and Beast, I've been very impressed with his play early on. Whether it's controlling the enemy jungle or being aggressive, initiating fights, he seems to be on top of it. So Snake, again, have looked impressive, but this will be quite the game for them to win. And these early lanes off to a reasonable start here. Actually pretty even in the mid there, Bucker with a slight lead, and both their 2v1 lanes going okay as well.
And Clear Love in his home, which for Nunu, of course, is the enemy jungle. Chomping on some minions right here. The 1v1 lane matchup between Siva and Rumble is not one you see too often, of course, and it's a really interesting one just because Rumble has quite a lot of mobility, of course, with that W, but once Siva hits an auto, she's almost always going to be in position for a second. As Barker's actually forced out of mid lane here. I would have expected, on paper, to see Lissandra do really well in this mid lane, but she's getting punished against a cleanse laner.
Oh, Beast there flashes for the first blood and a great bit of pressure that gets that kill onto Siva, and Jeff is not up to the start he wanted.
You hit both those electric harpoons and you have quite a lot of CC even at level 1 for that ability. And it paid off right there. The strong ganking jungler Beast. He took down Sivir right there, and that's probably not what they expected.
And you mentioned Clearlove's homes. Definitely the enemy junglers, Anuna is one of them, but from what we've seen, Def's lane is the other home for Clearlove, and he wasn't there, unfortunately. He popped up there to check it out, but couldn't save Def from that first kill.
But it's all a passage of events, right? They needed Mouse to go bottom lane, or he was definitely going to get dived, was Koro in the bottom lane. He showed up at just the right time, and that worked out. But what does that mean? Very limited vision around Def in the top lane there. He was kind of required to fend for himself. And unfortunately, once you use your spell shield against a Jarvan and Rumble, there's so much CC available from them, even at level 2 or 3, that you're going to fall. So that's what they paid for. That they paid for Koro farming a bit safer in the bottom with Def's life.
And I have to say, very impressive from Beast there. Basically pressured two opposite sides of the map in about 30, 40 seconds and gets his team going once again. We've seen what happens when Beast gets aggressive and starts ganking Flandre, or ganking for Flandre, sorry, I should say. And when Flandre gets going, we've only seen it once, but boy, is he good if he gets ahead.
And I think that's a good thing to point out, just because pathing from bot to top after getting that gank off down bottom, or at least attempting to get a gank off down bottom, and actually getting to top in kind of a way that doesn't put you massively behind is quite difficult early, especially before you can really afford to invest in the Moby boots or anything like that. So jungle pathing, it's been something we've always been synonymous with Cacao, who's always been one of the best jungle pathers. And Beast, he's taking a claim for it as well.
I have to say, the more I see Beast play, the better he gets. But we'll see what happens early days here in this particular game. Snake do take the quick edge, though, as Def will go down for first blood to Beast, not to Flandre, but he does get the assist. Anyways, we continue down towards the bottom. Crystal off to a great start here after that kill on Deft, especially 40 to 26 CS on this Draven.
Yes, it's a massive CS advantage. And of course, the adoration stacks adding up, so you know that if he gets that early kill, especially if Beast can translate that early gold into just having that much stronger of an EQ into ultimate. If you can get that adoration stacks and stack them in, it's going to be a massive load of gold for him.
Mouse popping his head into the mid lane as well, trying to get a binding onto Baka, who does not fall for it and will keep his life. And now just chugging a potion, but despite the CS that he's maintaining here, he is struggling against Pontazier, who's continually poking him out of this lane.
I'm continuing to think about the Draven pick here. I guess one of the reasons you don't see him so much in other scenes is that usually in a 2v1 situation, you don't want to push. You want to deny experience. If you're auto-pushing always as the Draven, and in this Chinese region, we've only seen pushing. We've seen no denying of resources. They're happy to push into the enemy top laner. You're able to keep up that passive and really cash in for a massive gold snowball if they can get a kill there. So it's almost like they were set up to really validate this Draven pick, and so far it's looking good.
And we mentioned that Snake do seem to like to play around Crystal. If they can. I mean, Flandre gets going sometimes. Beast, can just get all his lands going and they can go from that. But most of the games we've seen has been Crystal and his team really enabling him. It's been Tristana, it's been Sivir. How do you think this team comp enables the Draven pick specifically? I
mean, the thing you can say for Draven here is there's so much CC coming out of the rest of his team, so much disengage. I mean, Lissandra can play defensively. Nami, of course, has so much disengage herself. There's a lot of latency, so it's actually very hard to get on top of this Draven. And you look at the enemy team here, it's only really Aurelia that's going to be in a position to get there. Obviously, it could be the Dark Binding out of Vision, but in general, there's very little gap close to get on top of this Draven, and a lot of CC to protect him.
Yeah, and here comes actually Pawn. Teleport does go down, cancelled by Flandre, though. So saves a bit of the cooldown, but first Dragon does go to Snake with Mouse up towards that top side of the map.
That was expected given the power trough that EDG were in, but Jeff has to be careful here. I mean, those base damages on Flandre are no joke.
No, and Flandre again has actually altered already. Def, good shield, though, has to keep himself safe. Dodges the next harpoon as well. And Kora's actually in towards the top lane now, maybe thinking about ganking this poor Rumble. He's got to be careful. It's 1v3 very soon. And back does get exhausted. Mouse getting low though. Flandre wants in. He's level 3 is Morgana, but Flandre is going to go down and Koro cleans up that kill.
Almost takes a kill with him, does Flandre, but it's a successful move right there. And of course, now the AD carry and support are grouped together. They're going to try and push and get some answering damage on this top lane.
Yeah, Beast's going to look for his red buff. Maybe has to be careful though, as EDG could be around there. They've already been up towards the top side. You can see the pings. They find the ward. They even put a pink ward down just to make sure they can protect that buff, and Deft he's pushing into the top lane.
We'll have to ask for a check on this adoration stacks as we go on right here. No pressure at all on Draven in the bottom lane. And he's just, he's not in a rush to go back. He doesn't need to pick up a BF sword and really start harassing his lane opponent. If anything, he hasn't had anybody in his lane most of this time.
Yeah, he's just kind of been free farming here as Def does get the top lane turret. So the gold actually swinging back. It was about 700 ahead before for Snake with their first kill. Now back in about the same favor here for EDG. Koro down the bottom here up against Crystal. But right now in early days, can't really fight, especially 2v1.
Now, if Ella shows in another lane, I'd expect Koro to go aggressive on Crystal here just because Crystal has, what, probably 2,500 unspent gold at this point. He's going to be sticking on some fat stacks for sure. So if he doesn't have any disengage, Aurelia, of course, has gap close, has burst damage, has CC. There's a lot of potential for Aurelia in that lane, but no. Crystal's going to be smart, back off right here. It's usually about 40 CS for BF Sword, so he's going to have plenty of items.
And a quick highlight here as well for Snake. A lot of people talk about this team and how good their minion control is. I'm so impressed that Barker is keeping the CS this even, despite being forced out of lane 3 to 4 times already by Azir.
Absolutely. I think at this point he's realized he just needs to get through laning phase, and then once the team starts grouping, it's going to be a lot more even. But for now, been struggling, but Barker showed a lot. It's one of those things where we've kind of focused our attention on one carry each game. We were all on the Flandre train. Then we were talking about how great Crystal were doing. I mean, Barker's Xerath won them a game last week with some exceptional play as well. So it's not just single carries. There's carries all across the map for this Snake team.
Well, Flandre train getting rolling now. He does have his Haunting Guys, which is the first step to that big, cost-efficient 1.5 or 2 item power spike, depending on how you want to think about it with the guys plus the Sork Shoes. Aurelia building up towards her Trinity Force as well. And BF Sword and the Vamp Scepter already done for Crystal's Draven.
The Vamp Scepter to me suggests that he's going to try and split more just because he wants that sustain so that he can try and 1v1 keep up with Koro on this Aurelia. If he had gone for a more greedy option, let's assume he had up, as we see so much damage coming onto Barker.
Got to be careful, Koro here as well. Barker does have his ultimate, but doesn't have to use it. Aurelia cannot get in range.
Holding on to both her Glacial Passage and the ultimate there. And Crystal goes and picks up another structure. Has to be sitting on just an ungodly amount of Adoration stacks at this point.
Yeah, Draven getting pretty rich, both in money and in Adoration here. But EDG are grouping in towards the mid. Going to look to try and take out this turret, it seems like. Q's coming out for Barker. Got pretty low range wave kill. Uses that E, which does clear, but it makes him kind of vulnerable. And good poke there from Azir. Barker forced to hug that wall right to the right of his turret, but haven't got the tower yet here, and Snake might group up for a counter push.
And you cued me with that word wave clear. Look down this Snake team. If Barker's allowed to get in unimpeded and clear waves with Q, absolutely they have wave clear. But their other wave clear options are limited. That's one thing Draven does not provide, is wave clear.
And that was the thing as well, when Flandre died in that 1v2, never mind, they're actually damage coming in. The Dark Fighting landed in, but they're going through it. Barker gets initiation, gets on the call. Great ultimate there from Rumble as well. Crystal now just comes in for the cleanup. That's 2 free kills for Snake. Now Def getting chased out as well. Flandre, a beautiful harpooner. What a Draven on as well. There's the kill on 3-0 Snake.
Wasn't able to capitalize on the Adoration stacks, but Crystal comes in just the right time. They grouped up. It was wonderful position from Beast. He was the champion right there with the huge flag and drag. And they're going to take this turret, and it doesn't matter if you don't have much wave clear, if you can pick engages like that.
Yeah, and this, you got to be so careful when you have Draven. He's super immobile, but he does a lot of damage. Snake engaged perfectly there to get those kills, and let's see it again.
So we watch the replay here. Look at Beast coming. A massive EQ into the ultimate. Everyone's group. The equalizer goes down. That's all she wrote. Crystal's just sad he couldn't pick up a kill right here. It was so close. Flandre gets a lot of damage in there. We were talking about maybe 100 damage worth of damage to secure that first kill. He walks away with the Adoration stacks and a straight Bloodthirster.
And Snake 4-1 now early on in this game. 2-1 in turrets as well. And he had a nice little pretty gold lead for themselves of 2,000 gold, not to mention the first Dragon. So everything going well for a team that's supposed to be getting tested. And EDG looking a little scared here early on against Snake.
We're going to have to start revitalizing those tier lists and maybe revising them and seeing something different here. Snake is showing so much in the early stages against the old guard of EDG.
Yeah, and Barker, what a great initiation, finishing up some pretty key items for himself as well. He's got his Morella Nomicon done, and his Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Flandre, though, has found clear love. Not really who he wanted here, and now Koro is coming up as well. Barker can't quite make it in time, and there's so many snowballs chasing him down. Flandre does not have his flash. He's just going to keep running, and now Barker's here. They could turn it around, but they don't have too many cooldowns. They will back away, and Flandre's fine.
Barker had to use his Glacial Passage just to get in there and have some pressure to stop the assassination coming on Flandre there. So without that mobility, smart to back away. But Snake lived to fight another day.
Flandre going for a quick Leandri's there as well. So going to be doing quite a lot of damage with that ultimate.
Look at the one-item power spikes here. Straight Leandri, straight Bloodthirster. Who needs boots? Who needs anything else? They're just going for straight damage. But there is a lot to take advantage of there, because going for straight damage and no mobility against a Sivir comp, very risky.
Yeah, and they have to really play these fights well, but they've got a good lead so far. Going to look for a second dragon here. It'll go down very, very quickly to the damage of Snake. No one from EDG anywhere close to looking at the timer, let alone contesting, and that's 2 clean dragons to 0.
Yeah, they'll have an educated guess when they see Lissandra come back into lane, but they're just pushing top instead. But Klilev and Koro, they can't really do any damage against that structure.
Now you mentioned wave clear problems as well. I've seen Flundra use his ult on waves multiple times, and that's the sort of thing that Snake might have trouble with moving into this game, but we've heard, again, so good at controlling these minion waves, and if everything keeps going like this, Snake are looking very strong in game 1.
The only time we saw Samsung White really struggle at Worlds is when they went for those no wave clear comps with, say, a Fizz in the middle lane, and they fell behind. And that's really the only scope Snake have to really struggle here, is if they start to lose this vision stranglehold they have. And look at the vision. I mean, Ella and friends have done a wonderful job getting walls down. Complete, aggressive vision. This is decisive vision coming out from Snake here. If that ever abates, they do have severe wave clear problems. But for now, they can use those ultimates and pick the fights, because if they layer their CC perfectly, team fights will be won.
Well, we'll see if they can keep it up. EDG continuing to farm out in the slight disadvantage they have here. Sivir actually building in, got that Brutalizer that we've seen become a little bit more popular, plus the pickaxe as well. Building towards an early Infinity Edge. Trinity Force still on the way here for Koro as well. So he's got most of those components almost done. And an Athene's actually there for pawn in the mid lane with his Azir.
Really doubling down on mobility as Sivir here. She realizes that Snake don't have the most mobility in teamfights, so she's going for the earlier Yomu's Ghostblade. It is a very nice pickup in teamfights. She'll have a massive amount of move speed, and of course, it means that her Q poke before armor's picked up will hit for a lot of damage, but it does delay the true power spike of the 3 core AD items that every AD eventually goes for, of course. And so he's delayed in power spike. The Infinity Edge is looking miles away, and suddenly Death's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Flundra is down here as well. That's a beautiful equalizer. Now Death might get sold out by Rumble here. That's a good knock-up coming through as well. And now Mouse is going to go down. Crystal does pick up his stack. Now Clearlove in trouble. There's another good knock-up onto Koro. Clearlove going to pop his ultimate, but that's not nearly enough. Azir does get the kill onto Jarvan, but that's 3-1 there. Sorry, 4-1 in favor of Snake.
Basically, Sam, I'll be honest. I had my eyes on Draven the moment he cashed in there. So on top of the killing gold, he cashed in 720 bonus gold.
And Draven, we talk about it, the snowball AD carry, one of a kind when it comes to how his passive works. But boy, when he gets ahead, is he hard to stop. And the hype train for Snake maybe speeding up here as well. This is a very impressive performance to open this particular game, but still not done it. Let's watch that again, though.
So, of course, it's all about the Flandre coming in from the back. He's literally solos Death. Death can't do anything. That's when everything falls apart. Crystal cashes in on the Morgana, and everyone's just queuing up to be killed, to be honest here. Clearlove tries to control as much as possible, but it doesn't matter. 4 kills for Snake, and all Azir can really do is watch and wonder how it all happened.
Yeah, and Beast tanking up plenty of that damage. Was a casualty there for Snake, but the only one there, part of one of EDG's 2 kills in this game so far. And happy to die there in that particular instance, was tanking plenty of damage to the choke and the Tribush. So now EDG going to look to counter push a little bit here, but Snake are 5,000 gold ahead already.
And you have to say the Korean imports who have definitely showed up the biggest here are Beast and Ella. It's been excellent vision control from Ella. Those wards they've had down consistently have been wonderful. And Beast's engages, particularly the first replay when we saw in the team fight in mid lane, have been wonderful. But here, EDG, they finally are able to capitalize on their massive wave clear advantage and pick up that outer turret.
Yeah, nice rise there from Pawn, dealing plenty of damage to that turret. Azir, pretty good in sieges as a result. Can do decent damage to turret and zone people off, so nice work there as Clearlove move back towards his blue buff. And just look at the amount of defensive ping cords that EDG have to put down.
Absolutely, just to have any chance of any sort of vision in the their side of the jungle. It's a big problem, and this is the return of the Clearlove that a lot of fans get frustrated with. He's just been unable to put out any real map pressure here on this Nunu. It's not that beast Nunu from Game 1 against Gamti, and in this matchup, Jarvan has run rings around him in terms of lane pressure, as off the screen, Draven gets going.
Yeah, Crystal gets another kill. Beast now going to lock up Clearlove as Ella and Crystal will chase in here as well. Draven is hungry for more stacks, but they can't chase anymore. But they'll take it. A 3v1 kill there is more than enough for Crystal's
Absolutely.
Draven.
There was no matter on Beast either there, so it wouldn't be another EQ engage. They have to back away, but extra kills are extra kills. 5,000 gold lead at 17.5 minutes is a massive one. There's no objectives realistically to take on the map, as Baron hasn't even spawned yet. And wow, Snake are just dominating EDG.
Yeah, Flandre actually going to go in onto Koro. He's overheated, but he'll happily fight here. Koro's forced to pop his ultimate, actually, just to keep himself a bit healthier. Flandre already used his, of course. That guy's an ult bot. But they're going to go in for this next dragon in about a minute 10. And our question, Papa, coming in might have been, how are Snake going to play? They've played late game, but can they play aggressive if they have to, if they don't have Tristana? I think we might have our answer.
The rotations from Snake of what they've won these games. Because you look at the solo lane matchups, 1-1-1 is Koro. He's actually done very well. He can stand toe-to-toe with Rumble in the lane, as is expected in the matchup. And in the mid lane, Pawn's 1-1-0 on Azir. He's done fine. It's all been about their rotations. They've just been taking out Deft at every opportunity. Now, Deft, he's known as that late-game team fighter. We've seen him at Worlds win games with less resources than now. He does fall behind from time to time, but he's been dismantled so far. And on Sivir, a mid-game AD carry who really you pick up for that ultimate and just to kind of go in lane, auto-push, and always be safe and farm up, he's been struggling.
And I think, when we talked about Korean players playing in the LPL this season, everyone was so excited. I don't think anybody had Beast and Ella on their list of Koreans they're excited to see.
Absolutely not. I mean, their history is murky at the best. I couldn't even really tell you which team they were featured for. They would very much came into the league unheralded. They're new this year onto the Snake lineup. They weren't there last year in the LPL. And they've been wonderful. They've been really impressive in there. And I do love this build coming out from Draven here, Crystal. He's gone for the old school build. This is what we used to see, the Legolas build, the Bloodthirster into the Last Whisper. It's all about getting maximum damage from your Whirling Blade Q.
Yeah, third straight dragon going over to Snake there as well. So that's going to help their team fighting prowess and rotations even more with that additional movement. EDG are in the top lane now, trying to take out some of these turrets. Decent wave clear they're coming through for Crystal, who's staying pretty safe behind his turret, although the rest of his team is coming through as well. Buck is actually down the bottom. He'll now recall to move up towards the top. And again, Snake easily defend their tier 2 top turret.
Absolutely. They do have very good aggressive vision. And this seems to be the hallmark of top teams, is even when you're losing, getting the aggressive vision. They're looking for a pick here. They've invested so much into getting it. EDG feel like right now, if they can get some picks, they might be back in this game.
Well, they've got a lot of space on this map with basically both the tier 2s exposed. So if they get a pick, they can probably make a siege happen and get a tower down. And they're going to dedicate a lot of resources here in this bush. They'll hang out.
Is this what? Focus on Snake. They have no interest in going in there. They realize, hey, all our minion waves are pushing and nobody's answering them. Also, I can't see anything in this jungle. And that's the mark of a top team, is they didn't panic. They knew there was no Baron threat. They knew there was no objectives that they needed to fight for. So they said, all right, we'll stay over here until they show.
Yep, and they did. Now EDG forced to show themselves here, return back to the mid lane, but they've got nothing to really go on. There's maybe some minion waves pushing in other directions as Crystal works on the top side of the map now, but no dragon here to take. EDG don't have a single one, and as you mentioned, they cannot stop Baron now.
No, they cannot stop Baron. They don't have anywhere near the damage they need to be able to take down that objective. They do have good damage spikes on all their carries. Of course, Irelia has the Trinity Force. Finally, the Infinity Edge alongside the alongside the Brutalizer is completed on Deft, so he will do relevant damage in a team fight. But this Draven, I mean, even with a build, even against no armor targets, the fact that basically that build is all about the Whirling Blades. If he catches axes in a team fight, Snake will win a team fight 100%.
Very nice scrying up there for Deft as well. Managed to spot the 3-man gank that was coming, but Snake just happy to try and push this outer turret and take their third turret of the game complete. No, never mind. Not interested at all, apparently. We'll back off instead as Crystal picks up a bit of additional farm. And maybe Snake should be pressing more of their lead here, but with Dragon down and Baron not really a thing you can contest right now, I think Snake are pretty happy farming up.
There's definitely a lull in the game. We're not seeing the crazy engages, and Deft is finally praising the Lord that he's able to get some free farm in the lanes. He's been really, really focused on hard by this Snake team. But as you point out, there's no structures. Realistically, they'll be able to take down safely. There's no objectives to pick up. They're just farming it out, and Crystal's adding to those adoration stacks.
Yeah, key levels being coming through here as well. Pretty much both of the key ultimates here, Flandre and Baka, level 11, and been so for quite a while, so they'll have those power spikes here. Experience decent on EDG's side as well, and we do have a Zhonya's now completed as well for Pawn, so items are coming through, but everyone's hitting 2-item power spikes, and Snake is just a little bit further ahead, especially this Draven with all of those adorations.
And they're smartly meeting the waves when they need to. We see Lissandra makes the move up top, doesn't have teleport, but massive, like unbelievably massive. We're talking about 3.5 minion waves are going to hit top lane, going to pick up all that farm. It's already sitting on a lot of CDR and damage right here. Not a full damage build, as expected. Gets that Zhonya's Hourglass just for so much of an annoyance frontline. It's like a pseudo frontliner who has no tank stats, but just lasts so long in that front line is the Lissandra. And the minion waves start pushing. It's the minion waves that we should focus on, I think, in these quiet times, just because that's kind of been Snake's calling card is wonderful side wave control so far in the LPL.
Yeah, you mentioned Lissandra going to clean out all those minions in that top wave. That is not an accident by Snake at all. I love the fact that Pawn, who was really bullying Baka in the early stages of the game, has fallen pretty dramatically behind in CS by 30, and all of the other solo lanes are winning for Snake in terms of CS as well. They know where they need to be when the waves are coming, and they just basically farm as efficiently as they possibly can.
Absolutely. They have access to so much more farm that EDG has access to, which is a weird thing to consider, but that's just how this game's gone. And that's why we see a 5,400 gold lead, which hasn't grown, but definitely hasn't fallen away, even though we aren't seeing these picks and kills coming out from EDG, from Snake, sorry.
Oh, and Baron actually going to get a look at now by EDG. They throw the pink ward down, and Snake may have made their first big mistake of the game, actually. No vision here at all on the top side of the map. And EDG going to look to just steal away this Baron. This happens very rarely, but this is, even with Clearlove using the ulti for damage, should be a free Baron to Edward Gaming.
And for all the advanced vision they had in the red side buff, they could not have expected the Baron there. A veteran move from EDG. It wasn't a desperation Baron. It was actually a very calculated Baron. They almost didn't have the damage and health to take it, but they do. And suddenly, they found a window into this game.
Yeah, we talk about minion waves giving you vision in the lanes. Unfortunately, they cannot give you jungle vision. So Snake going to get that stolen away. EDG unlikely to be able to siege aggressively with this Baron, but they're going to get good pressure down, and the golden stats are very worthwhile as well. So we'll see how Snake react here. Corey going to pop down to the bottom lane now, continue trying to get some more farm and make more space for him and his team.
And this must be the first time on the 2015 patch where we have a Baron falling before an outer turret is even down. So I mean, those minions up the top lane, once Sivir goes to clean out, are going to be pushing so hard into Snake's side. And this is the case of you can't really push any advantages when your minion waves are always going to be straight under your inner turrets. So a masterstroke from EDG, you have to say it.
Yeah.
You have to think Clearlove was the one who engineered that one. And for once, the Nunu pick paid off big.
Yeah, you don't often get to take Baron at 25 minutes, but Nunu, one of those junglers that can facilitate that sort of strategy. Korra also taking the bottom lane turret, so 3-2 there in turrets for EDG, with the Baron buff helping out a bit, and the blue buff going over to Pawn as well.
So the game resets a little bit. This is definitely going to be 3 minutes of free farm for EDG. It'll be interesting to see whether they compete for this dragon here. But, oh, Snake's been caught.
Ella gets bound up. Beast going in there, zoning out Korra. The smite goes down. Here's the teleport for Flandre. Crystal zoning up Mouse and Pawn that was on death, getting chunked out by Baka and Flandre. There's the ultimate trying to chase in there, and Flandre wants it so bad. He gets hit by a binding. Good zonies to keep him alive for now, and he will get out of the CC. Flashes out of the way there, but EDG may be able to re-engage here.
The most important about that team fight is that Crystal spent the whole time basically zoning himself. He was looking for a flank engage on an AD carry, which maybe you can do as Tristana, but it's a lot more difficult to do as Draven. So he wasn't able to get the damage. They couldn't get the first kill down. And EDG, they might actually take out this dragon and finally get on the board.
Snake are going in potentially. Nunu does get the dragon, so Clearlove will secure that for his team. And EDG were maybe hoping for an exit kill or a slip up at EDG. The veterans they are, keep calm there and take their first dragon.
And absolutely the Baron buff opens up that dragon just because you can know for sure your waves are going to be pushing. But that was a lot about Crystal not being able to get any DPS out in that fight. He was staying so far to the side, and a flank engaged as an AD carry just did not work out in that situation. It basically gifted the first dragon and the snowball of objectives back to EDG.
Yeah, we talk about enabling the AD carry on Snake a lot because they seem to play around him so well. That was one of those engages where Crystal was just not enabled at all. If he was able to free hit in that fight, that goes so quickly into Snake's favor.
If it was another AD carry who had a reposition ability, you know, was able to get back in and get some orders off, it would have been different. But that's not Draven. That's not the champion they picked up who's done so well so far. It's one small mistake. It arrests the snowball. But, I mean, Snake are just looking for that next fight and trying to trade on all the item timings they've hit so far.
Yep, still a light lead here for themselves. 3,000 gold, not too shabby here, just after 27 minutes in this particular game here, and everyone powering up here as well. Double zone is now complete for both Flandre and Baka in their respective top and mid lanes. And looks like Trinity Force plus a lot of tank items coming through for Korra as well. And also the last wish was done for Def Sivir.
A very clear cost-effective tankiness coming out here. I mean, Draven's not usually a split push AD carry, but there is this situation where Korra will have to enter lane against Draven. Still doesn't have the stats to be able to deal with him, only if he gets very lucky and dodges a stand aside. But Draven's looking strong. He's going to split push, take this outer turret finally. Long overdue. 27 minutes for an outer turret when you're winning by such a big margin is surprising. But this Baron's going to fall away soon, and the game will reset. You can't see a second Baron being snuck by EDG this game.
No, some welcome freestanding gold there for Snake as well. Going to pad their lead a little bit more and jack it up to about 4,000 gold. Pawn here now with his Stinger, so a bit of a power spike there as well for him. Continue rotating in with Baron and the blue buff still ticking away. Baron especially for a little while longer, but not too much more. With no dragon on the map as well, not too sure which objective these teams want to be fighting for.
I mean, Snake just want to fight because you look at the item timings here, there's a significant advantage on each of the members here. We're comparing, for example, Zhonya's Hourglass and Athene's Unholy Grail and a Stinger, some very nice components of a full build, to Zhonya's Marillanomicon and a Void Staff, which is a deletion build coming out from Baka right here. Draven's just finished his Infinity Edge. That is just a disgusting amount of damage going to come out. If he crits on one of those whirling axes, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have any attack speed. If he's able to free hit with picking up his axes, if he does not drop an axe in a team fight, I can't see a situation where Snake lose that team fight just because of the damage we're going to be talking about coming out there. The Frozen Heart doesn't do much to Draven if he's able to catch his axes.
That's true. He was going to clear out the Scuttle Crab. Going to nom that away. Slowly whacking it with his fist, but he'll finish it up. And there we go. Get a little bit of extra vision for himself. Baron back up in under 2 minutes now. And I think it's interesting. I don't know where Snake can force an objective. Again, we're going to look at maybe the strong side wave control they've been so famed for. But as you mentioned, they're basically an item ahead of all of their counterparts, at least on their carries.
But let's be real here. If that Baron hadn't gone down, what, 5.5 minutes ago, this game might have been finished out by now. That was Snake's ascendancy. They were massively ahead in this game. And they hit the reset button and bought themselves 5 minutes of farm. Is that enough to get on an item parity with Snake? No, but it's able to get them closer and closer to that point. And in a late game situation, one mistake from Crystal on an immobile AD carry like Draven, if he even loses his axe, even if he drops his axe, without any attack speed or crit, apart from, of course, the Infinity Edge, you lose so much damage on that Draven if you drop an axe.
We'll see if that slip up costs Snake too much here, as Koro is actually going quite aggressive towards the blue buff, but didn't get himself killed. Mikhail's done that for Ela as well. Very important against the Morgana Dark Bindings especially, although no one really realistically wants to be caught by one of those.
So the builds are filling up here. We checked the vision, and it's not the trademark aggressive vision that you'd want if you were a Snake fan here. Unfortunately, Ela hasn't been able to sneak down those wards. They had perfect vision 10 minutes ago. The Baron buff, the minions always pushing, meant that they've never really had a safe time to go and sneak that advanced vision in. They haven't been able to contest the buffs that they would like to do on this EDG side. A great, decisive call from EDG. Have brought them a window into this game, but make no mistake, that is one massive Draven to deal with.
Yeah, it is. And Crystal, if you can get the right team fight, it's going to be horrifying. He's got an elixir as well in his inventory, so Snake know that their next fight is going to be the big one, and I have to assume it's around the Baron that's coming up in 12 seconds or so. So we'll see if they're going to start clearing out vision for themselves. They've got the Cytos pushing reasonably on top and bottom as well. So Snake, if they're going to look to get vision around this Baron, have set themselves up quite nicely.
And this has all forced Deft into basically an emergency AD carry build on Sivir. That is more a build you would expect on someone like Draven than Sivir, just because it's going to be some decent upfront burst with the QW, but after that, Sivir's going to fall off damage unbelievably. Like, the damage fall off will be massive there until he can finish that crit item. So it's a huge power trough for a mid-game AD carry, and Draven is looking damn strong.
Yeah, Baron is back up. Actually, the bottom just got pinged there. Flandre going to wander down and clear those up, because that's that wave's pushing against them. And seems like the top wave is pushing for them, but the blue pings did come onto Baron, so Snake have to be careful. They cannot afford to give that up again.
I mean, losing a second Baron like this would just be unacceptable. Like, the first one, sure, you got caught off guard, but the second one would be completely unacceptable. Of course, Rumble has his teleport available. It's up to this team to try and get some advanced wards in, but it's difficult. You're trying to get wards against a Morgana. If you face check the wrong brush, could be a teamfight ace.
Yeah, Flunder is already teleported as well, coming in, wanting to try and set something up. If nothing else, just get them off. But Koro's caught way behind enemy lines. Ela will take a lot of damage. But Crystal's going to come in. That's going to force the flash out of her early. But Crystal is going in over the top with the flash. There is so much damage being dealt by this Draven, and Koro cannot withstand it.
Have you ever seen an AD carry flash after a full health Aurelia? Just disgusting damage coming up. But he's not grouped here, and Snake have to be very careful.
Flandre flash out. Azilo doing good poke. Baka is going in. Can't quite find a target, though. Flandre continuing to get aggressive, and EDG are so low here.
Yeah, they're going to try and push in, but what can they really take? They don't have wonderful turret damage here. They've only really got Draven to do turret damage, has to get risky then. And look, this is much smarter. They're going to go for the Baron. They have unbelievable Baron damage. Just disgusting Baron damage coming out here. They can get it so fast, but EDG, they're responding.
I mean, Clearlove is nowhere near, but Pawn maybe can do something here with the Zero. He's got his ulti up as well. Baka gonna zone him out a little bit. The Baron, does go down. Tidal Wave is gonna miss in, and Pawn will get himself out. Clearlove actually channeling Baka will ult him up there. Axes on it as well. Good cataclysm there for Beast, but that's a great Emperor's survive. And oh my god, Dev coming around the side. That's 4 clean kills there for EDG. Snake just got completely routed.
Pawn and EDG are gonna try and run in here, and the smart thing there was you saw their teleport being channeled by Korra right behind Draven. Draven had nowhere to go. He had no peel. He was half health. There was nowhere he could go. And he got assassinated by Sivir. Just let that ring in your head a bit. They're assassinated by Sivir from the side. Wonderful flank engage from EDG. Veteran play coming out right there. They're going to take an inhibitor off this.
Flandre, no wave clear. Without his ultimate, cannot help this inhibitor from going down. The inhibitor tower has already been taken. Clearlove, by the way, happily soloing the dragon on Nunu. So going to probably slowly get that for himself here, although it will take him quite a few consumes.
I mean, you say solo. I mean, he's going to try not to die, I guess. I mean, he's just taking over on health. Flandre, actually, you need to run, Noble Yeti.
Well, I don't think he's going to be able to. Clearlove pops his ultimate, and Flandre's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Missing the harpoons. Uses his ultimate to, Clearlove flashback on top of him, but he's actually alive. That will give Snake their 4th dragon of the game, though, and this game just got crazy.
This game is just insane. The 4th dragon puts a timer on this for EDG. They thought they'd just gotten kind of the match-winning advantage. Like, all right, I don't know how we did it, but we got the flank off. We got the inhibitor. We can just grind it out from here. 4 dragons, however, changes the game considerably.
And for all the praise that we've given to Flandre and heard given to Flandre, for all the mechanics, for all the, the top lane god, Flandre to me is just such an intelligent player, and just knowing that, what, I have to check this dragon now.
Absolutely.
So smart.
It's the knowledge of timers and the rotating of lanes that have shown Snake's intelligence, but they really fell away on that team fight engage there. They allowed themselves to get split off by an EDG who were way behind them in gold. They've closed it to a 2k gold lead. They had their 2nd Baron buff here, and one decisive call. We keep coming back to it. It's kept EDG in this game, and they very well might win it.
Yeah, Pawn's team fighting coming up massive on that Baron fight as well. Beast actually going to consider some aggression here. Flandre does not have his ultimate back, but Baka's off to the side. They're going to lose this turret here despite being the ones with the Baron buff, and Pawn's Azir is really powering up his team in the later stages of this game.
I find it very interesting to see the Banshee Veil pick up on Draven here, just because relegating yourself to catching your axes or losing, 40 to 60% of your damage in a team fight is so risky on a champion like Draven. I would have really liked to see the static shift for a bit of the extra ranged wave clear and just a bit more auto attack damage. Like, Draven should be focused around catching his axes, that's his kit, but to at least have a bit of backup, attack speed and crit. This is all in on catching axes. It's all in on being peeled for appropriately and being in the front line and fighting. So it's a very high risk build coming out from Crystal.
And that gold lead that Snake had grown to, I think, 5,000 at one point here is shortened very swiftly in the last 10 minutes or so to just 1,000 gold. Blue buff, they're going to go over to Pawn as well, who's got 3.5 damage items, been sitting on that Stinger for a while, and finally finished a Rabadon's death cap. So he is doing redonkulous damage so far. I mean, everyone's powered up here, but EDG might be more than happy to take it to late game.
It's all about Draven, pace your time off, as it often is, the conceited man. But we look at his build here. He's got 2,000 gold on his lane opponent in depth, 2,500 even potentially. But it's just that crazy thing about Draven where if he drops the axes, the efficiency of that gold that's been spent drops markedly. About 40% is the number I'm quoting here. And it's crazy how smart he needs to play on this team fight. We've always seen him struggle once, as we see Beast go in.
Beast is absolutely going in, going to get poked out by Pawn, who has to back off there. And Clearlove's Nunu is so tanky, more than happy to sponge a bunch of damage. Koro needs to watch out as well. The ultimate actually goes down for Flandre. Beast is going in. Baka going in there as well. But Beast picks up the first kill onto Mouth. Now Clearlove's channeling the ultimate, trying to zone him off, and Deft is so low. Pawn goes down though as well. Baka with a double kill coming out now, and Deft has almost no health left. Crystal is so close to picking him up. His spells are almost back. Beast is chasing in, and Crystal will he use his heal, always fight to try and get the kill. Deft there will channel Boomerang Blade, a little bit of attack speed, move speed there from Nami, and Crystal going in. One hit, that's enough, and there's the ace.
One perfect layering of ultimates there. Once again, Beast and Flandre come in close as Crystal tanks up a couple of towers. He doesn't care. Look at the lifesteal that comes out from every order. It's just disgusting. And Snake take it. The layering of CC there was insane. Picture perfect. We've talked about Rumble Jarvan on our cast 10, 20, 50 times. It's such a strong combo because when it works, my God, it works.
And add in Lissandra there as well, and that is absurd team fighting there for Snake. And thank God they've got 4 dragons here. These turrets are melting under Crystal's Draven. They can't get the inhib though. They've forced themselves to back off and play a little bit safer, but now both bases are open.
Yeah, both bases are open. It's still such a tense game because, I mean, EDG picked up that inhibitor. Could they translate it into a game win? No. Now Snake pick up an inhibitor, and we're so finally poised. 1 minute 50 to Baron. You have to think Dragon's, what, maybe 30 seconds behind that? We saw a situation in OMG versus Vici, where OMG traded a 5th Dragon for the enemy team, securing Baron, then aced them afterwards for the win. And 10 seconds between timers here. If they can sneak a Dragon then go to Baron, they're going to win it. If they can sneak a Dragon then fight at Baron, they might still win it there. So it's so much up in the air. And there's the last item from Draven, is the Youmuu's Ghostblade. It's not a true attack speed item, but it's basically saying for 6 seconds, I'm a god of damage.
Yeah, it really is. And Crystal has just shown such proficiency on this champion. That gold lead, by the way, there was only about 1,000 before. Has jumped to 7,000 after that last exchange there from Snake. So really big lead swinging back and forth here. And these two buff timers, objective timers, sorry, are the big one news for me. You mentioned they're about 10 seconds apart. What do you think? What do you think's most important here? Is it the 5th Dragon from Snake, or is it EDG's next Baron?
I don't have a exact answer for that. My split-second first impression is picking up that 5th Dragon, just because can you imagine the first Draven Whirling Axe with an extra 6% damage? He doesn't need 6% more damage. He's quite fine as he is right now. So I'd probably go for the Dragon and try to rush down Baron, just because EDG have to be on the back foot after what's happened. But speaking of back foot, they're going straight for it.
They are going for this inhib, and Snake have no answer right now. Koro's down the bottom running interference with Flandre. And they might be able to force a team fight here, but Snake have to do something. This inhib is looking to go down. Death, he has to be so careful. Bucker goes in, beast around the side as well, locks him under the cataclysm. There's the tidal wave, and that's going to force the fight out from Death. Now Clearlove has to be careful. Crystal around the side though, going absolutely insane, gets exhausted, but dodges the Azir ultimate, and that's 5-4-0 coming in for Snake. Koro, Rono you like, buddy, I don't think it matters.
So the flank engage from the AD carry there was the difference. It was unbelievable damage coming out from the Draven there. That was some crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, Koro's alive, so never mind what I said. He'll be absolutely fine. As Ella going to maybe make me a liar once again here. Looking for the slow. Can't quite find an auto, and Bucker is still chasing. Koro will escape here, but Snake are shoving down the mid.
They're very happy to let Koro run away here. They're not trying to pick up the kill. They just don't want him to back. They're very happy for him to either die or just stick around running. And with that, Snake, they've defied the odds. They've defied the critics. They're going to win this game.
A first game win here from Snake. And what a way to do it as well. Crystal's Draven, a pick we didn't see before. Someone told me he favored hyper carries. That is not what I thought they meant.
No, that is not what we thought we meant with 8 hyper carries. We saw him saunter around the side and miss out on doing damage in a fight just because he couldn't find the opening. This time he flashed in, popped that Ghostblade, and killed everyone.
And this team, man, continuing to impress. I think they may have crept up a little from the 12th place they were offered before the LPL started. 5 straight games in a row, and that one was against EDG.
Absolutely. You can write off the other 4 victories and say, well, they were against lower opposition, but against EDG, number 1, number 2, depending on who you talk to, an impressive victory. And we're going to see a replay to see just some of the carnage we saw this game. So we're watching Snake here. They're around there. They're around looking to contest the Dragon. The slow comes on to Clearlove, but he's fine. And this is the part where I thought we might see some re-engage coming out from EDG. They really want to try and claim this blue buff here, but this is where the layering happens. Watch this Cataclysm. It's just ungodly the damage he's coming out here. Pawn tries to peel everyone off with the ultimate. It doesn't matter. Everyone is chunked down, and then Crystal's like, yep, I'll catch an axe. I'll zone out Def. They eventually chase down and get the kill, I believe, after an extended Yakety Sax kind of moment, but this is just a symptom of how strong Crystal is. Remember, 37 minutes into the game, he's basically full build here.
Yeah.
And he's going to pick up the last kill. That last Whirling Axe probably did, what, 900 damage as Nunu dies in the off lane there. Crazy stuff from Snake, but crazier stuff from Crystal. We thought maybe ban away that Tristana. That might be a smart ban. Take away that Sivir. What else has he got? He's got a Draven.
And Crystal, so impressive. We talk about how his team wants to get him going. Credit to EDG, they played very well though in that game, and this is going to be insane. We're going to be back for a second game any moment